Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Pellet Mill Magazine's 2019 Editorial Highlights and Bonus Distribution webinar. We're sponsored by the International Biomass Conference and Expo being held in Savannah, Georgia, March 18th through the 20th. I am Pellet Mill Magazine editor Anna Simmet, and I'm here today with Marketing and Sales Director John Nelson. To start, a little bit about Pellet Mill Magazine. We are the only pellet industry dedicated trade journal or magazine to our knowledge. Our editorial board is made up of experienced professionals who work directly in the space, including several past and present pellet producers. We're now in our 8th year, and we're published bi-monthly. The main components of our magazine include feature articles that are staff-written, contribution articles and columns from external writers, and business briefs. Those interested in submitting contribution articles or guest columns to any particular issue, you can just contact me for more details. Typically, you want to reach out about a month in advance before each respective issue. So, for example, for the March-April issue, you will want to contact me by February. I also accept business briefs through email. Essentially, that is a snippet about a new hire or promotion, a new product or partnership. These can be sent to me anytime year-round for potential publishing in this section. Now I'll talk a little bit about the industry in North America and globally. We cover it all. Presently, wood pellets are consumed mainly in 2 different markets: power generation, fired or co-fired with coal in converted power plants, as well as for heat in residential and industrial heating sectors. Current U.S. capacity is roughly 14 million metric tons per year, with about 700,000 metric tons under construction. The Canadian industry is around 4.2 million metric tons, with about 615,000 under construction. And this is according to the last North American pellet production map, which we produce. We update that information periodically online, so you can find that information on biomassmagazine.com, and we print the map once a year. The global wood pellet market has increased dramatically since 2011 at an average rate increase of about 14% per year. That's according to the U.S. EIA. The U.S. stands out as the largest pellets producer by far, followed by Canada. Other large producers include Germany and Sweden. Though Europe, the UK in particular, has been the largest consumer of industrial wood pellets, it is forecasted to level off with Asian demand drastically increasing in the coming years. Wood pellets are well on their way to becoming a global commodity, and the build-out of necessary infrastructure to allow that is continuing. In North America specifically, the wood pellet market is mostly residential and industrial heating, with the Northeast, U.S. being the fastest region for growth. Many states there have incentives in place for homes and businesses to convert from oil or fossil fuel to modern wood heat, as it really has a significant positive impact on the forest industry and surrounding economy. And now, before I go over the editorial calendar, I'm going to hand it off to John so he can tell you a little bit about our circulation and offerings.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna. Thanks for going through kind of where the industry is heading and kind of setting things up for me, so I appreciate it. Want to talk a little bit about our print circulation right out of the gate here. Each issue that we send out goes to 7,000 people. So we send out 7,000 copies of each issue of Pellet Mill Magazine, and that is spread out between 52 countries. And then we also send out to future and existing producers. Now, when we say producers, these are solid biofuels. This also includes pellet producers. Anyone marked on our pellet mill plant map receives one of the copies of Pellet Mill Magazine. So again, when you're sending, if you're purchasing advertising, you definitely are hitting that audience. When we look at this, we see 2.3 readers per issue. Now, this came about through third-party research that we did with our readers, and we found that every issue of Pellet Mill Magazine that is mailed out gets read 2.3 times, and so when you add all this up, that's where we're getting our 16,100 total audience. So when you purchase an ad in our print publication, you can expect about 16,000 people to be reading that ad, and eyeballs are going to see that ad. Again, our print, when you look at our print issues, 84% of our readers are inside the U.S. Now, you will see that change when we start looking at our online presence, but from a print standpoint, 84% of our base is inside the U.S. Again, when we look at circulation, and you're going to see a lot of Biomass Magazine on these slides because Pellet Mill is part of Biomass Magazine. So you'll see that kind of going back and forth here. But when you're looking at this, our total circulation, kind of a breakdown of who's reading our publication, almost a quarter of it are producers of biomass and pellets, along with equipment service providers, farm and co-op people, consultants, and so on. So you can kind of get an idea of who's reading it. Again, if you're looking to target the pellet industry, this is a great place for you to, inside the U.S. in particular, this is a great place for you to place advertising. Now we're going to look at our online presence. And again, this is all based on Google Analytics that we pulled as of July 2018. Now, Pellet Mill Magazine's online presence is shared with biomassmagazine.com. So if you have looked at our biomassmagazine.com stats, you're going to see that they're similar. Now, looking on the left-hand side, you see this is how our ads are placed. You can see there's leaderboards, there's skyscrapers, there's rectangles, there's medium rectangles, and so on. So you can see all that is entrenched within the content that Anna and her team are putting on there. All the original stories, all the latest news and policy are going on there, and people interested in the pellet industry are going there to get that news and see your ad. We see roughly 72,000 page views per month, which equals to 870,000 page views per year. And when you break it down, again, a lot of our print was inside the U.S. Well, you can see that starts to shift with our online presence, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the majority still is inside the U.S., but you really start seeing Canada, Europe really become strong with our online presence, India, and then a lot of Japan and so on. You start seeing a lot more presence throughout the world, and as Anna just mentioned in her the beginning, she started to see a lot of interest was formulating in these other countries around the world, and we're seeing that as well online. So again, as an advertiser, you definitely want to make sure you have your print presence, but having that online presence also assures that you're going from an internet, you're getting eyeballs reading your ad on an international level. Now, we do have some social media here as well. So when we're looking at that, we've got Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. You can see on Twitter, for example, we have more than 13,000 followers and 8,000 some network referrals. Facebook, almost 4,000 followers and 8,000 network referrals. So what does that mean? Why is that important? Why are we showing you that? We're showing you that because every story that Anna and her team are creating, we are posting. We are posting the issue, the print issue. We're stories. We're printing or we're posting the online stories. All those are going on our large social media networks. People are then clicking on those stories when interested, and as you can see, people are, and they're coming back to the website that you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen, and they're reading those articles and hopefully looking at your ad that you're purchasing and going to your website. So again, why are we putting our tentacles out there all over our social media? It's really to bring people back to our site to read our stories and get our content and look at your ads. A couple other things we want to cover here is our e-newsletter. Now, we've got 19,000 plus subscribers. So for 8 years, we've been building this list organically. People have been going on and they subscribe, and we see this going out every 2 weeks. This e-newsletter goes out. Anna and her team are putting this newsletter out with content. Again, a lot of these stories are what are posted online, but we're pushing it out to our subscribers who said, hey, I want this content on pellets, and let's, and I want to make sure I get it and see what the latest news is every 2 weeks in my inbox. Again, it's $19,000. This is a great option if you're looking at just an inexpensive way to jump in and say, hey, I want to get my name out to this audience at $295. You can be placed on that and go out to 19,000 subscribers. Plus, we'll give you feedback and data on who's clicking your ad, as well as, and I should have mentioned that as well on our online presence, that we would also give you some data as well, and we can kind of track and show you, monitor how effective your ads are. The other thing I want to talk about are videos. So as you saw on the last slide, on the top corner on Biomass Magazine, we do videos every week, and this goes out in our Pellet Mill Press e-newsletter and is at the top of Biomass Magazine's website. So there is an option. You can become a sponsor of those videos. So every time someone's clicking on those videos, which we know in the marketing world, that's how people like to consume their information. A lot of people like consuming it through a video format, that you can become the sponsor of those videos. Again, that's going out to 19,000 plus subscribers if you were the sponsor for that week. It's also going on our website. So you can gain access both through our e-newsletter and have an online presence and be in the video that's posted by becoming the sponsor of, or by becoming the weekly video sponsor. The other thing I want to talk about are webinars. So our webinars, just like today, this is a webinar, and what we do is we do custom webinars. So if you have a product, a service, something that you want to feature and showcase, we will help create a webinar with our audience, and promote it to our audience and talk about your products, your services. It'll be on our website. It'll go out to hundreds of thousands of emails focused on the pellet industry. It'll be on biomassmagazine.com. And we'll also give you insight on the people who are attending those webinars. So it's a very cost-effective way if you're looking at, hey, I want some leads. I want to talk about, I want to know exactly who's interested in my product or service. This is a very effective tool for people looking to do that in the marketing world. Another thing that we've have this year that we just want to make mention, there's a lot of people that Anna and her team will rely on to contribute. They'll also reach out to people and feature them. If you are lucky enough to be featured in Pellet Mill Magazine with one of your products or services, we do allow, or we have a feature where you can create a custom reprint and you can showcase your article, your expertise in these reprints. We'll send it to you in PDF format. We'll make a little special cover for you. We'll take out all the pieces you don't want, and we'll send it to you. Again, you can use it as trade show handouts, conferences. It really adds credibility to you. If you say, hey, I was featured in Pellet Mill Magazine, and have this as part of your marketing material, it's an outstanding tool for you. The other thing I want to talk about new this year is an option that we have. It's called our custom press release service. And again, if you have a product or service that you are looking to showcase, this is an outstanding feature for you. As long as it covers some guidelines that we have set up, is newsworthy, but is a product or service of yours, we can put it in press release format and send it out to Pellet Mill Magazine's news list. Now, again, that goes out to 19,000 plus people who are looking to get news and information in the industry. So again, you can send us that. There's a couple options. You can send us a press release and the photos, or we can build that press release for you. All those pricing options on all this are available. Just reach out to our account managers, and they'd be more than happy, to answer any questions that you have. Again, you can, if you do have questions, you can follow up with this webinar. You can go to biomassmagazine.com. You can find out all of our contact information and reach out to us within the media kit. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Anna.
Thanks, John. A really great overview of the opportunities that we offer. Now I'm going to run through each issue, talk a little bit about the theme and bonus distributions. January, February, the theme is global production and consumption. This issue will cover both heat and power markets. As I mentioned earlier, the Asian market's expanding, especially in Japan with renewable energy policy and its feed-in tariffs, so we'll undoubtedly cover that from some angle. Continued coverage of the European market as it plateaus. Canada's export industry is experiencing some pretty dynamic growth as well. As far as domestic heating goes here in the U.S., we'll cover the industry's growth. And for example, the PFI has a goal of 100,000 new appliance sales within a year and is strategizing with producers and appliance manufacturers and retailers on how to achieve that goal. Other potential topics might include the expansion of the bulk delivery market, incentive programs designed to encourage cluster or concentrated installations and really grow the market, competition between countries such as the U.S. and Canada, and ways in which external market forces are influencing the market. Bonus distributions include the International Biomass Conference and Expo, the European Pellet Conference, and you can see the circulation numbers right under each respective conference listing, 900 at the Biomass Conference and 450 at the European Pellet Conference. Moving on to March, April, the theme is equipment innovation, maintenance, and repair. In this issue, we really want to showcase existing, new, or improved equipment that will help pellet producers cut costs and streamline operations. An example of a story that we did this past year was on a dewatering press technology and development aimed at reducing fiber drying costs. Another example of a past story we've done on Aztec's own design of hot oil tube dryers instead of traditional air-swept rotary dryers. And we'll also consider stories such as servicing or extending the life of roller bearings, hammer mills, die screens, and so on. We do have a recent addition to our column lineup, Holger Streets from Bath and AG. Much of what's in his column is on troubleshooting issues that readers or producers approach him with. A really neat addition to the magazine. Bonus distributions for this one include the International Biomass Conference and Expo, the Waste Expo, Argus Biomass, and the North American Waste Energy Conference. Moving on to May, June. The theme is feedstock sourcing, sizing, drying, and handling. In this issue, we will cover strategies around feedstock supply agreements. We ran a contribution this past year on how to combat price volatility. We also will really want to include some articles focused heavily on equipment, the chippers, dryers, conveying products, and technology improvements, and the companies that manufacture them. An interesting angle that we took on this topic in the past year was pellet manufacturers who source pallets as a pellet feedstock. And sort of expanding from the sourcing component of this theme, we might also cover certification programs, including N+, and the challenges producers exporting to Europe face with this, PFI standards program, issues surrounding sustainability, and more. Bonus distributions include the International Biomass Conference and Expo, the PFI Annual Conference, the North American Waste Energy Conference, and the National Council of Forestry Association Executives Annual Meeting. Moving on to July, August, the theme is dust management, fire, and explosion protection. Arguably the most important topic to pellet producers today. In this issue, we want to present ways to prevent accidents and catastrophic events at their facilities. This past year, we ran an article on how proper analysis, design, engineering, training, and housekeeping will ensure a plant is safe as possible. We also did a feature on dust hazard analysis, really dug into how and when to have them conducted and the critical role they play in incident prevention. And another article we've done in the past was best practices for fighting and preventing wood pellet storage fires. For this issue, we really want to hear from the technology providers on the innovation they're doing in the space so we can let our readers know about them and equip them with the best information out there on how to protect their employees and operations. The bonus distributions for this one include WasteCon and the Wood Pellet Association of Canada conference. Moving on to September and October. Regulatory compliance and emissions control technology. Regulatory compliance issues might include all permitting issues, OSHA requirements, the new source performance standards, and complying with air quality regulations. We'll also cover the equipment and technology side of the equation for controlling VOCs or gases from the dryer, WESTs, RTOs or RCOs, as well as dust management strategies in production facilities, and equipment solutions to deploy at export operations in order to capture and minimize dust. This past year, one unique article we did was focused on complying with California's Prop 65, which many pellet producers were actually unaware of. Cost wood pellet producers around the country millions of dollars. In the past, we've also done articles on feedstock sustainability regulations in the EU. Bonus distributions include the European Bioenergy Future, UCIPA Exporting Pellets Conference, and the International Biomass Congress and Expo. And finally, November, December is themed bagging and storage, inventory management, and downstream distribution. And this is a new theme in 2019, and I'm really happy to include it. Kind of some of the lesser thought of issues, but nonetheless very important. It was when senior writer Ron Cutterba recently wrote an article on pellet packaging that we decided we would integrate this into our specific editorial topics. That story really detailed companies coming out with new bagging materials, cost and quality issues that producers have to make when it comes to choosing their bagging or packaging supplier. And this theme will also discuss storage. This is kind of all-encompassing of both producers and users of wood pellets. Inventory management during the on and off season, as well as how the industry can successfully collaborate to grow and expand customer bases, pellet producers and retailers with appliance manufacturers and retailers. Bonus distribution for this, power gen, renewable energy world. So all of that said, that about wraps up my overview of editorial themes in 2019. Feel free to reach out to me directly with any questions on content or potential submissions. You can reach me at asimmet@bbiinternational.com. And with that, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, the International Biomass Conference and Expo being held this year in Savannah, Georgia. Be sure to check out our upcoming events and take advantage of a 20% savings on a full-page advertisement just for attending this webinar. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.